So let's start. Just for interest sake, if you like, I like to use essential oils. So many a times when I engage the spirit realm, when I pray, when I meditate, all that stuff, I like using frankincense. I often put it under my nose so that I can just smell that frequency. Um, it helps with your engagement, but it's something practical for you if you like. I like using the frankincense from Young and Living. It's a good one. A good frequency as well. The cheaper ones have a far lower frequency. Alrighty then, let's go. You can close your eyes, and as your eyes are closed, I just want you to breathe in deep through your nose and release through your mouth. And just do that a couple of times. And while you do it, see you breathing in the breath of God and releasing your breath into Yahweh's breath. So it's like a circular motion that you just engage with, and we're just centering our spirit and positioning ourselves in a gateway to start engaging. As you're breathing, I want you to start feeling as if your body is separating itself from the physical realm, and your spiritual senses are just starting to become aware of the spirit realm. I want you to see the cross in front of you and just move towards the cross. Cross is a gateway. When you look at the cross, you see the spirit dimension through the cross. I want you to just walk to the cross and step through it. As you step through it, I want you to sense that the spirit realm starts to change and you just become far more aware of your environment. as you move in, we're going to go in further deeper. And you remember last week we went into the darkness. We went into that space that is just, it's dense. There's nothing there that can actually explain because it's the inexplainable area, that darkness. So we want to go back there and we're going to operate from that space and engage TET. I just want you to just move deeper into the spirit realm. However you want to picture that, there's no right or wrong. However you picture that, just see you going deeper into space. And a good way to picture it is to see the nebula, see stars, see the colors, and move closer and closer and deeper in. I want you to see Chet, the Hebrew letter Chet that we dealt with last week. And I just want you to move closer to it and then move through it. And as you see on the other side of the Hebrew letter Chet, you see complete darkness. So I don't want to rush the process. I'm just going to give you a minute or two and just experience that process of going deeper, going through Chet, and just start to experience your environment there, and we'll take it from there. As you are in that space, start to breathe in the darkness, that dense atmosphere of the presence that is just indescribable. I want you to soak it up into your spirit, into your DNA. Breathe it in, breathe it out. And we're just activating that environment within your DNA. Because remember, Chet allows us to operate from there. Just take a minute, continue to breathing in and out, in and out. I want you to experience your spirit starting to expand. That as you're breathing in that darkness, as your spirit man is expanding, the potential of your spirit man is expanding. Now, as you're in that space, I want you to envision, imagine that through that breathing, the, the letter TET is starting to expand in your spirit. It's as if it came from the darkness, from Het, and it's just starting to grow and grow and grow in your spirit. Just go through the process of experiencing that growth that is expanding within you. Might feel odd and strange, just go with it. As the TET is expanding in your spirit, just like that picture showed, the one that I drew, that the point of that TET is piercing into the darkness, and it's bringing forth and illuminating. It's like an intravenous drip, I want to say. It is piercing into that darkness, and it's releasing it in through your spirit to manifest what the secret and the mystery is hidden within the darkness. So I want you to be aware that it is starting to draw out and manifesting in your spirit, and you start to see a glory light starting to emanate from your spirit. It's starting to beam out, and that which is not seeable is becoming seeable from within your spirit as TET releases and manifests that. So just take a moment and just experience the process of drawing from the darkness and releasing in and through your spirit and projecting out. And what is it that you are seeing that TET is projecting out of your spirit? Start to see a color, a frequency that is being released out of your spirit. That there's not something new that is being realigned within you, and it's being released from within your spirit into the environment. Remember, you are still positioned in that place in the darkness that you cannot describe. But through TET, it becomes describable and knowable, being released through you. And I want you to take some time just to breathe that in and just sense what is it that God is releasing through you. Just think of something that hasn't existed before, that's existing from without you. There's something personal that Yahweh wants to show you. I just want to highlight again that you are standing once again in a co creating position. To be positioned in that place to bring from Chet, from the darkness into the light, illuminate. Now I want you to do something. I want you to, that which you're experiencing that is being beamed out from your spirit that comes from TET, I want you to put your hands into it and play with it, shape it, do something, create something that you feel Yahweh is showing you. So the substance from the darkness has been brought to light. It is in your hands, it is in your ability, and Yahweh says, create something with it. And He'll most likely tell you what that is. You can think of something practical. Just continue to engage with what Yahweh is showing you. I'll give it another minute or two before we move on. Now, as you're in that space where you were working with what Yahweh showed you and want to engage the aspect of TET with regards to spirit travel. So it is the ability to explore and expand and engage new things with regards to the throne room, the kingdom of God, and who He is. And from a relationship and an intimacy aspect, Yahweh wants to show you something special that you have never encountered or experienced of Him before. He wants to take you, He wants to transport you into that place to reveal not just His goodness, but the glory and lavish it over you. So it's a personal engagement, it can be anything. And I just want to give you some time just to engage with that and allow Yahweh just to show through TET what that is, where He's taking you to experience. If I can just interrupt you in a small way, stay engaged. You'll see there on your screen that picture. I felt that Yahweh is wanting to take you there. That there's the secret chamber within TET that will reveal something about Him that He has specially hidden away in His Spirit for you. So as you engage Him, see yourself ascending into the DNA of TET, into that chamber to the top where Yahweh takes you to experience that explosion of the glory of His goodness that He wants to reveal to you. give you another 2 minutes. You can continue engaging. I'm going to open up the floor. We can start sharing. And just remember to unmute yourself.
Charles,
Yes.
what is the name of the angel of TET?
Tuviel.
Maybe say it again.
Tuviel.
Again?
I'm going to write it there for you.
Oh, I saw it last night. I know the spelling, I just didn't know how to say it.
Charles, I don't know how to explain what I was seeing. Um, when we were out in the expanse, I just was becoming very aware of how that the presence of God is in all things, just omniscient, just everywhere and omnipresent. And I could sense him in the darkness. I could sense him in the colors. I could sense him in the TET. And then the Holy Spirit inside of me. I saw the TET inside of me, and like it was my entire body. And I began to be aware of how that the Holy Spirit has filled me, my entire body, even my physical body. And it's in every atom, every neutron, every empty space, and it all just became one. And the TET, it was like a fountain. The shape of it came around and was dipping into my heart, which began to just expand and feel more and more and more. And then I saw that as it filled and it got so full, and the Father started speaking to me about unselfish love and generosity and graciousness toward other people. And he said, they can't give you what they don't have, but you can give them what they don't have because I'm filling you. And it just came out of the TET. It was like a vessel too much rolling over, and then the colors just began to spill out. But TET was still visible, but it was just a fullness. And then I realized that we, as he is, so are we in this earth. And so as God fills all things, he's in all things and holds everything together, then the Holy Spirit empowers us, and he is in him in all things. So that's the best I can do to explain what I was seeing. So.
Fantastic, Suzanne. Well done. That's an important aspect, is to get the revelation and to unlock consciousness that as he is, so are we. We say that flippantly, but God is saying, you are him here. That is huge. That is, and if he says we are him here, that means we have his ability to tap into. Hence God's magicians, you know. So, good one, Suzanne.
Charlotte, I'm ready to share.
Go for it, Nancy.
When we first began, I immediately saw the mint green. It was just mint green, and I could feel it as I was breathing, and it was excited. And then I saw this splay of light that was like a crown, just radiant crown. And then this beautiful single white bloomed rose with crimson around the leaves came into this view, but then dark flames, waist-high flames started growing, and then it was on the sun, and I was seeing the flames come up off of the sun, and it was hot, and I heard spirit of offense, and then you said it's when you brought up co-create, and I started saying goodness of God, goodness of God. And every time I said it, the flames would reduce and reduce. And I was reducing those flames when you told us to put our hands in the substance. So I stuck my hands in the flames and the substance, and I started pushing it and compressing as hard as I could, even in the physical. I was pressing on this, and it got smaller and smaller, and I was led to take it up to my forehead and then to put it into my spirit, man. And then I heard that it was the pearl of wisdom from his fire. And then the last thing I want to say is at the end, you said something, and all I heard was, I don't want to interrupt you. But as soon as you said that, I saw these draperies of white chiffon, and I saw the angel of TET, and I knew it was him, and I knew I would get to see him today. And he kind of ushered me to begin down this hall of these draperies. And I started walking through at a normal pace, and I kept seeing more and more draperies on each side opening. And so my pace quickened. And the faster I went, the more draperies opened, and it just opened and opened. And I thought, I've got to get to the end. I've got to see what's at the end. And at the very end of this tunnel of draperies was your painting. And I was led to take my index finger and put it on TET, and the spark from the painting, and I knew that TET was affixed inside of me forevermore, and that flame was mine.
So, very special.
It was
Very,
so
very
good.
special.
It was so good.
Wow, fantastic engagement, Nancy. Thank you for sharing. Just while she was mentioning the angel of TET, generally an angel carries the characteristic of the letter. So the letter TET, the first time it appears is in the word goodness. And Tuvial is Tet Vav Bet Yod, which means good, goodness. So angel of goodness. That's how we get to the angel generally. It varies. But just so you know for that one.
Can I speak, Sean?
Yes, go for it, Judith.
I was in a vehicle again, the same as last week, and but it looked like TET. It was round again, but it had the shape of TET. And I was moving very fast through a lot of galaxies. But this vehicle was this time powered by some power, and I saw colors and light and flying and flames going around me through this dark galaxies. And I asked, what is this power? And someone said it is driven on by solar power. I don't know what it means. I tried to Google it. It's maybe it's something that came from the sun, wind. So, no, solar power, sorry, solar wind. I heard solar wind. And it came from the sun or something. I don't really understand what it is. But as I was moving very fast through the galaxies, someone said again, this is the beginning of a very long journey that has no end.
Okay. And did you feel that was for someone or was it for you?
I was in the vehicle. Just another thing, violet, the color violet was very prominent. But yeah, I think it's maybe for all of us because all of us are going on a journey with no end.
Absolutely. Thank you, Judith.
Thank you, Judith. That was confirmation for me. I put it in the chat, but I can say it right now. Thank you so much.
Yo, where to begin? It was an awesome journey, but I actually went. Everything linked up for me from when we started. Yeah, it went as far back as when I received my scroll, the Book of Eyes. I ended up seeing I was in the throne room. And normally, when I stepped through a letter, I stepped into Chet through the out of the throne room, because I've seen it before. I've seen many doors in the past, and I realized that this is the Hebrew doors for me. So I stepped through Chet, and I stepped into the darkness, and the darkness entered me. That's thick substance, but it was sitting in every single cell of mine. But it was sitting there ready to be released, like something needs to happen now, and it's going to happen soon. Then when you mentioned about TET had to form within us, and as TET started forming, I could see it drawing out of my cells into my innermost. And as it was drawing into my innermost, and I remember, if you follow my story, there's the hay and the chet spinning within inside of me. And it's been spinning within inside of me for the last 2 weeks. All I can say is like I said to my mom, it's like a vurvur. It's just sitting there. Just the more I pull it, the more it spins. If you don't know what a vurvur is, good luck. And all of a sudden I see TET forming around these two. And I could clearly understand that hay is forming the darkness, and then TET is bringing it out into illumination. As soon as that happened, there was a projection from my belly, like a projector onto a wall, and what it projected was like I saw green first, and then I realized this is the garden. I saw the garden that I met Zion, and I've been in this garden before, the garden with the little bridge and the stream running underneath it. And I've seen Abba on the other side so many times. That's where I've met him a few times. And this time I went over the bridge, and the bridge was made out of marble glass, which physically doesn't make sense to me, but it was made out, I just know it was made out of marble glass. And this time I looked down at the river. I've seen the river before, and it was a river with no reflection, but it was full of life. This time the river was the deepest blue that I could ever imagine, a beautiful blue. And I'm standing by the tree. So where last time when I received Zion, the same tree, but this time I was standing there with Yahweh, and all of a sudden he's sitting crossed legs, and I was a child in his lap, and we were just sitting there, and we were talking. And basically, long story short, what he said to me is that this is the place of imagination, if I can call it like this. This is where you come as a child, and you see things, and you can play, you can expand, you can do whatever you want, basically. It was just a real place of intimacy, for him. And it's a solid place for me, because I've been there before. I've seen it before. He said to me, here's where you can find peace, the peace of the place of peace. This is the place where you are as a child with no limitations. Be in rest, soak. Do not strive. Do not do or be. No, do not strive to do or be. You are. Come here often. And then he took me back and then he made me turn back on my pages, and where I received my scroll. And that is the time when we engage Chet and Proverbs 8. And and that's when we opened the storehouse as well. And that's when the lights streamed out of my belly. And I couldn't understand it back then, because everybody was seeing something else, and I'm seeing the light out of my belly. And when I opened my mouth, it came out of my mouth. So I'm like, okay, cool. And all of a sudden, the whole picture is just coming together. And this is where I'm sitting now, just, on his lap in a garden against this massive tree.
Well, that's pretty exciting, Marcel. And the whole idea is that there's a big picture out there that God is busy revealing and showing to you letter by letter. So it is very encouraging to see the interlinking. And for everyone that, be aware that God is wanting to, even when you engage TET, there's something He might show you about Aleph, that is linking in with, and with Chet, the previous one. So, there's like building blocks that Yahweh just continues to And I tell you, it gets so exciting when when you get that aha moment, and it's like, wow, I get it, you know. So yeah, well done, Marcel. And I love what he said. That be like a child, because that's that childlike faith where we operate from rest, where we have fun creating with God. That is just, that's awesome. I love
Yeah,
that.
it was awesome. It took me, basically the place that it took me to is when, if you think you're a child and you just, use anything and playing with it, just make it whatever you want it to be. And he specifically said to me, this is the place of you and I. This is our place. So
Yeah,
yeah, I've got a good reference point now.
sure. And if you think as a child, you let your imagination run wild. Nothing is impossible for you, you know? Awesome. Thank you, Marcel. I know it might have been a. Okay, go for it. I'm listening. We listening.
Hi. So there are like different flashes of different images, and when you said about the being in the place of darkness, what I felt, the impression I got was God was tapping into our deepest subconscious where all the treasures are that's inside us. And I saw also like a heart. There was it's like two hearts, like the love hearts. So it's not just one heart, but two hearts joined in one that shows the shape of the love heart. And it was like there's a tension brought to it where there was flowers. It was like the heart was being healed. And then there was another image where I saw it was the like an upside down crown. And I'm like, God, why is the crown upside down? And I felt him say it was like the crown, it was like a reflection. It was like the crown was being formed and many crowns was given, but it was formed in the upper waters. So when it's reflected down, I don't know if down is the right word, but then it comes in the right way when it's translated into our lives. And there was a lot of dahlias as well, the flower dahlia, Dahlia.
Yes.
I was like, a lot of that. I'm not sure what that means. But it was beautiful floral arrangements. And I was just like, yeah, it was just the highlight of that specific flower.
Wow. Thank you, Sunny.
Since we're talking about gardens, I didn't go into the dark cloud, but I stepped in through the cross into this living garden. It's the first time I've been here, and the light was giving life to this garden. And the thing that struck me about this garden, Charles, you said a unique place for you. I felt that this garden was not my surprise, but something very special for me.
Yes.
And it was more not what I saw, but what God has done in me tonight. I feel like I've lost my body. I'm just so aware of being in this dimension of this garden. It's living, and there are butterflies. There's no birds, there's no insects, there's butterflies, and they are flying around. I always see the clothes I wear, and I'm wearing this long cotton flimsy dress. I'm holding a hat. And I think of myself saying, be like a child. This is meaningful for me, but more than what I am seeing is what God has done in me, because I don't feel my body. And last week I was in the dark cloud and I had this bubbling joy in me. And this week I'm so grateful and thankful and full of happiness. And I'm just giving thanks to God. And this light that's giving life to this garden is giving life in me to the point that I don't feel my body.
Wow. That's fantastic. Thank you, Maria.
Well, that's quite interesting because I actually had the opposite happen where I totally felt uh, God um, taking hold of my body. um, and I don't have words to describe it, and I'm at work and I can't really talk long. But I just saw like this threefold cord like winding and winding and like just like his hand just grabbing my whole body. Um, and I also was taken into the goodness, the overall goodness of God, and the again the love of God. Um, um, the I, I don't the intimate working, um, the movement of God, the that was in the dark place. Just the love of God again in that dark place, and the goodness of God, and TET as being like a foundation, sort of like a resting place, as it were, in the goodness of God. And and then when we went into I actually again felt um, you said going into the door, um, and I saw the door again, and so I went in. I saw the door actually before you said to go in a special place for you. So that was really encouraging to me. So I went in the door and I knew it was just a place full of glory. It was just the place of His glory, and I sensed it. There was more He was going to show me about the throne room that I had been there before already, but just a deeper intimacy with Him to come, and there was something else. Um, and I had reminded a word that He had given to me, um, that I will not die, that I will not die. And so I think it was Janice. That was like a huge confirmation for me, because I thought of that and I thought, people have been believing that for whatever, anyway. So, and I'm like, you know what? No, He told me that, so I'm just gonna stick with that. And so, but He told me this was the place where you, like Enoch, where you step in and you're no more.
That's interesting. Stepping in like Enoch. That
Yeah,
is interesting.
yeah, and oh, and and again, I felt like I was in a garden at one point too, but I thought, okay, this is my human mind getting in the way. So I discarded that real quick. But Marcel, I thank you. I'll when they go back in, I'll take a look at that, because when you talked about the bridge, like something exploded within me, and also, oh yes, the things that were unlocked from within, it came out like a Hebrew Torah scroll, like all these letters and all these things, and just God manifesting Himself through me, and with me. That was really incredible, as well. Because again, I didn't want to put my human mind and my human one of the limitations on it, and so I just said, okay, just whatever you have written, because the Word says all my days were written in your book. before there was even one of them. So I just allowed God and trusting Him to write that book and to write those things and for those things to come out and be manifested, to give me the words and the the vision and all of that. TET 2 became like so huge. It was me. Yeah, it was just amazing. And I do want to add that before, years ago, someone had explained TET as being it's either this or that. It's either this. It could go both ways, and that never rang true with me. And I was talking to the Lord about it, how some and and I just really sense there is no negative in the Hebrew. That's the word that I got from Him. There's no negative in the Hebrew. It all is for you. It's all for you. It's our dualistic mind that it's been translated, yada yada. But anyway, that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Jennifer.
Cheryl,
Go for it, Jen.
would you put the first diagram? I wanted to see. I thought I saw the illuminate there, the word. It will kind of link back to what I was experiencing. Would you share your screen?
Is it that one?
Yes. So illuminates. That makes sense now because I had no clue what was going on. Because as you led us, my both palm was just like electrified, and I was kind of pulsing between my palms, just like contracting and expanding in between. And I know I was forming something, and I didn't know. And I caught, like, I text messaged here too that somebody had this this kind of web kind of illuminating iridescent feather-like wings. So I was just actually I was seeing that in between my hands, and it was dark at first because we were at that complete darkness, and I was keep pulsating between my hand palms and just keep on forming something. And actually I wasn't just forming just like palm to palm, at a point where it was like light bending because I was not facing palm to palm, but I was circular, doing circular motion of like clockwise, and then I'll stop and then go totally different way. So it didn't need to have that like space. So I didn't know whether it was still like stringy and just like a cobweb, iridescent light kind of illuminating between that. So I was, okay, this is some kind of iridescent web like connection in between my palm, and he's creating with me something like that. And so afterward I looked up, and when I saw different images, I found the cosmic web, which was similar, but the color was not quite right. So when I saw the galactic web, that was what it looked like. And later on, I was just doing a little more looking up images, and it's actually saying it's the galaxy cluster. And one of the document include, it said Illustris. I don't know whether that's project name or something, but it had to do with the illuminating field of light connection from like galaxies, star to star, planet to planet, or the galaxy space. So I don't know how, but he did it through me, and I am giving all glory to God for this. That was amazing. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane. Thanks for sharing. We're heading towards the end. I just want to show you something before we finish, just about using the letter TET when you pray. Is there anybody else that still wants to share?
I would like to share. I'm brand new and I came in late, and I apologize for that. I live in Texas.
No problem, Leslie.
And so I had no real direction except just to close my eyes and engage the letter TET. And I have a book of the alphabet that I've studied somewhat over the years. And so I just turned to the TET and closed my eyes, and we had the picture of the galaxy type picture of the TET. And so I just entered in, and the Lord took me into the depths of who He is. And He reminded me that it was very much like the first time God engaged me. He engaged me by showing me that we, all of us, we're in Him, like inside of Him. The galaxies are inside of Him, that we are part of God's being. And so He showed me that again, that He has surrounded, enveloped, and we are part of His being, and He wants to show us the great wonders. Show me, I keep saying us, I guess the plurality of who I am. As I feel more like a we, the more I come into the knowledge of the Godhead, that I'm more of a we than a me. And so it was just really exciting, especially when you started explaining some of the other things, for me, hindsight, that He had engaged me 10 years ago, and I didn't even know what this was. And now He's brought me full circle to where He wants to teach me in a deeper way. And so I thank you for that.
Fantastic, Leslie. Thank you for sharing that. The TET is for me a letter that's quite important when it comes to co-creating and creating. So they all are, but TET has something very specific when it comes to revelation and illuminating something that we don't understand, the hiddenness and the secrets. So yeah. Anybody else?
I have a quick one. Whoops.
Okay.
Go for it, Israel.
Israel.
Yes,
go for
you can go.
Okay. First thing I'd like to say, I think Abba has a thing for giraffes. Because he said when you had the substance and said create it again, but this time he said a long-necked giraffe. So I said, okay, Lord. But I quickly looked up giraffes, and they have an ability to feed upon this thorny acacia tree that other things can't eat from because of its design and its ability and its tongue and its lips, with the thorns not piercing them. So to me, it spoke of gathering those hidden things in the hard places that are precious, because they want that tree. And the long neck enables them to reach much higher. And I had 3 separate visions of leaf hoppers. You know what leaf hoppers are? If you're a gardener, if you're a gardener, they're little tight black bugs that when you go to try to remove them from the leaf, they pop and disappear and appear somewhere else. Their movement's so quick that they're somewhere else. So I felt the Lord was saying that thing about transportation, popping in and popping out in different places. And then when you said the Father wanted to share something with us, I said, what do you want to share from your heart, Lord? And he says, in this place, you're going to have an increased sensitivity and awareness to me in the spirit realm. That was it.
That is awesome. I love that example of the bug. It's such a fantastic picture of engaging the spirit realm and TET when it comes to spirit travel, because our ability is in and out through time, you know. And I love the example. What did you say the bug's name is?
They're called leaf hoppers.
Leaf hoppers.
They're very small and tiny. So the moment they leap, it looks like they disappear, and you can't find them again until they're in their new realm. So
yeah. Okay. Anybody else?
So
Yes, Shane.
I saw a few things. On the way in through the dark, there was this angel, I suppose, and his name was Wind on a wave. It was a bit strange, anyway. And then we went past a door, and after we engaged TET, the door illuminated more, and it was open, and there was a stairway through it. I felt like a little bit reluctant or nervous to go, but anyway, I went up there, and it was like it was a transition place. It was some place I needed to go to that I was almost like afraid to move, and there was a garden there. I can't. There were horses. I don't know. I can't really remember. It's almost like I go into another place. I can't explain it. It's like almost got like a dream quality, and I don't always remember everything. And but I did that. TET was very very iridescent. The whole letter shone with iridescence, but behind it was orange. There's a lot of orange that came through, and when you did the creative stuff, there was a lot of orange as well. And then when we went to experience stuff with Yahweh, it was like being inside a living fireworks display. It was like being I don't know, just surrounded by fireworks. It was different, eh?
Igniting your spirit.
Oof, it was a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
Sometimes we don't always have to explain what happened, you know. Sometimes it was just a fireworks display. God did something in your spirit. I don't have a cooking clue how to explain it, but something happened, you know.
I enjoyed it. Thanks. Right. It was great.
Anybody else before I... So just a couple of things that popped up. It is clear for many people, they engaged intimacy. Intimacy came to the fore, hearts that were joined, love, etc. So intimacy is definitely at the core of engaging TET, which also means that God, as we showed in that picture, God prepares our hearts for kingship. He prepares the vessel to be able to contain and release the glory. So, of course, we contain the glory now through Christ that is in us. but he still fashions our character to manifest that glory. Mentioned Enoch, engaging the way Enoch did. The garden featured a lot. And garden is a place of intimacy. If you think of Yahweh always came to the garden to meet Adam and Eve there, and they would hear the sound of him. So there was an aspect of intimacy and being vulnerable in the garden, a place of fellowship, a place of where you can be real with Yahweh. So each person saw something different with the Hebrew letter TET. One thing, I'm going to continue mentioning it because I want you guys to learn to use the Hebrew letters to pray. So for instance, now if we think of the Hebrew letter TET, and it takes from the darkness and illuminates, makes it understandable to be manifested. If I now think, I have Donnie that's there, and he's got a farm that he plants and for crop, etc. That when you want a manifestation of something to happen, or there's something you cannot explain, or faith comes into play, etc., I always address the angel of the Hebrew letter. So in other words, when I pray, so let's say for instance that I need a revelation regarding something, or I need something to manifest from what's not visible to be visible. So I'm using the land now as an example where a seed is being sown, and that seed needs to be watered. We can't see it. We don't know what's happening under the water and then under the ground. And then at some point, all of a sudden, you start to see a shoot happening. So I would pray and I would commission the angel of Tuviel. So remember, Tuvi is goodness. So the angel of goodness, because it's the first letter where Tet appears in the Bible. When God separated from the darkness the light, and he saw that it was good. So God recognizes something that is ready as a vessel to manifest his goodness. I would speak to that angel to give me the scroll of Tet and to unlock the scroll of Tet in my situation. I position Tet on the land to manifest that which is not visible or not seen or understandable to be released within the situation or whatever it is. I'm going to go and plant on the land. There's nothing on the land. I engage Tet to take from that which is in the darkness, and as I start to plant, I release the revelation or the illumination of what is not visible to be visible and to manifest into the situation. Learn the characteristic of the letter, engage what it can do to facilitate, because you are doing abracadabra. You are God's magician. As you speak, you create. If God spoke the Hebrew letters to create, as he is, so are you. So what he's doing is teaching you to engage exactly the same tools that he engaged with to bring that which does not exist into existence. That is what sets you apart from the other Christians that are on their knees and beg God to do something, when we are sons of God learning to co-create, and God says, I've given you every single tool and blessing in the spirit realm to manifest that which is not possible to make it possible. You've got to start believing it, break away from a traditional framework of praying. Actually, any framework you got of praying, go take a piece of paper and prophetically and throw it in the dustbin and say, Lord, reframe the way I pray so that I can engage how you operate and not the way that I think I should operate. Am I making sense to you guys? When you start to learn and then you start to couple the Hebrew letters together. So now I am a Vav. So Lord, thank you that for me as a Vav, I bring the upper waters and the lower waters together to manifest through me. So I position as a Vav the TET on the land as I sow and I speak, that that which is not possible is now being made possible, because for me as the Vav, the mysteries and the secrets find their culmination within me, and I release it through TET to be illuminated into my situation to manifest the reality for which it is sent for. Explore. Um, what's the word that I'm looking for? Experiment with the Hebrew letters. You can't go wrong. If you make a mistake, God's dad, he's not standing there with a whip. So I want you to learn to experiment with the Hebrew letters when you pray. Because who are the Hebrew letters that they culminate in? Jesus Christ. He is the Word. Every single verse in the Bible is made up of what? The Hebrew letters. No Hebrew letter, no verse. No Jesus, no Hebrew letter. So just to bring peace in your mind as to who are we focusing on, it is Yeshua. But we are engaging the depth of who and what he is and the tools that he made available. I shouldn't call it tools because it's not tools, it's inheritance that is made available to the sons of God to operate and manifest. You need finances in a situation, or you need seed to sow in a land. You stand on a land and you don't have seed. Then you start positioning a gimel on the land. So, Lord, Gimel is the keeper of the storehouses. I position Gimel on the land to bring that which is in the storehouses and release it into the land. I mean, the scripture says that God gives seed to the sower. So Gimel is the one that carries from the storehouses and releases it into your circumstances. That's when you start to see the supernatural manifestation of the blessings and the abundance of Yahweh. Yes, I hope that helps. Every time afterwards, I'm going to give you some examples, just how to pray and to use the Hebrew letters, and so that we can start to practice, engage into your situations, your circumstances, over your kids. I freaked my son out the other day. I mentioned in church that he was sleeping because I usually get up at 3 in the morning and that's my prayer and meditation time. And I went and I stood over his bed and he was fast asleep, and I started to speak to his angel and positioning the Hebrew letters to facilitate his scroll and what needs to happen in his life. And I mentioned that in church, and he was sitting at the back by the soundboard, but I can see he was a little bit freaked out to know that his father was hovering over him while he was snoring and sleeping. Oh boy. So when you start to realize the power that is in your hands with the Hebrew letters, and you start to see the physical manifestation of it, you're gonna just, like Shane said, fireworks in your spirit everywhere. Awesome, guys. I love you very much. I try my best to make it practical for you, because for me, how do I practically do this stuff in my everyday life? Otherwise, we're just going to sit again and listen to make me feel good sermons because I'm pathetic and I can't do anything, and all that mumbo jumbo garbage. We are sons of God, and we need to learn how to operate the empire so that we can be like our Father. That's what he destined us to be. Not a bunch of pussycats hoping God will come through for us. He's not like that. He's given us everything so we can co-create with him. So hopefully I haven't offended anybody, but I love you in any case.
Wow.
Love you guys.
Well,
It's a big,
Bye,
it's a big
everyone.
pleasure.
Thank you.
Love
Bye.
you. Bye. Bye.
Bye-bye,
Bye.
Cheryl.
Thank you,
Thanks very
everyone.
much.
Cheers, Cheryl.
Love you, Carl. Love you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Thanks,
Bye.
Cheryl. Now my
Bye.
plants is going to grow nicely.
Yeah, that's for sure. Bye-bye, Tony. Bye, Tunay.
Thanks, thanks.
Bye-bye, Sharon. Ciao. Bye, Angel.
Oh, cheers.
Bye, Jen. Bye, Shane.
Bye, Cheryl. Bye, Noel.
Bye-bye,
Bye,
Tilo.
Mama. Bye, Ella.
Bye-bye, Annette.
Bye, Cheryl. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Vilna. Blessings.
Thanks a lot.
Bye-bye, Gerry. Bye-bye, Denise. Noel. Keep well.
Bye.